So today we're going to go over the bottom of page 11, and if you need a little bit of help for these density problems, I'll show you what's going on. So it's easiest when you're doing these to just look for the numbers. That's the really important part of the question, so we highlight those. And then you're going to want to write the formula every single time. So remember, D equals M over V. It looks like your heart. So in this question, it says that we are solving for the mass. That's the missing piece. So that means in your formula that X is going to go on the top where the mass is. Okay? The density number either has grams per milliliters or grams per centimeter cubed. In this case, we see grams per milliliter. That number is the density number, so we'll put it over here. This milliliter means it's a volume, so that goes on the bottom. Now, the easiest way to solve this is to cross multiply. We're really good at cross multiplying. So if I put this over 1, then it's much simpler. So if I cross this way, I just get 1x or x equals. If I cross in the other direction, I can multiply those two numbers together, and my calculator says 196. And last thing we're going to do is round. The ones place is where we want, and it's already there. So basically we can just leave our answer as is, 196. Because we were solving for mass, the unit for mass is always grams, so that's the last thing you have to put on, and you're set. Alright, in this question, the first thing you want to do is find the numbers. There's one and there's one. And then you want to figure out, what are you solving for? So this question says, what is the volume? So if I write my density formula, D equals M over V, because I'm looking for volume, that means the X goes on the bottom where the V is. Okay? So mass has grams as a unit, so this number must be my mass number. And density can be grams per milliliter or grams per cubic centimeter, which is this unit, so that's the density number. The easiest way to solve this is cross multiply. Put this over 1. So if I cross in this direction, I get 111 equals. If I cross this way, I get 2x. Then we just solve, divide by 2, cancels. If you put that into your calculator, you get x equals 55.5. And we want to round to the tenths place, which it already is, so you don't have to add or do anything else to your number. Lastly, we wanted to solve for volume. The options for volume, it could be milliliters or it could be cubic centimeters. Because we see cubic centimeters in the question, that's what we are going to put on for our answer. Alright, number 3 is probably the hardest one on the page. So, let's find some numbers. There's one, there's one, there's one. The question says we need to calculate the density, so that's the missing piece. So if I write my formula, D equals M over V, this density is the thing I don't know, so that's where my X goes. Okay? Grams is the unit for mass, so that's this right here. So I put this in for my mass number. Now volume can be milliliters or cubic centimeters. Here I have two numbers with milliliters. That means that water displacement happened. So we had a container and it had some water in it, and then they put the object in and the water went up. Okay? So the original volume had to have been the lower number. So I had to start with 24.7 milliliters. And then when I put the object in, it went up to 27.1. That means that this was the initial volume and this was the final volume. So we're going to use that to calculate our volume on the bottom. So I want to do 27.1 minus 24.7. And now your job is to just solve for x. So when you do this subtraction, you get 2.4 milliliters. And keep the 18.4, then you just have to divide those two numbers, which is 7.666666, on and on and on. If we round to the hundredths place, that's here, but the 6 afterwards means that we have to round up, so it's going to become 7.67, and then we have to decide on a unit. Density units can be grams per milliliter or grams per cubic centimeter. So we're going to decide based on the fact that we saw milliliters earlier, that's the unit that we will use. So our final answer is this. Alright, last one. Best thing to do is find the numbers first, and then figure out what are you solving for. This question says, what is the density? So if I write my density formula, if I don't know the density, x goes over here where the d is. Mass always has a unit of grams on it, so that 4 goes up here. And volume can be milliliters or centimeters cubed, and I see milliliters here, so that goes on the bottom. All you have to do is divide those numbers, and your calculator says 0.8. If I want to round to the thousandths place, that's 3 after the decimal. So I'm going to add a couple zeros here. Now I have 3 places after the decimal, so that's set. And then we just have to decide on a unit. Density can be grams per milliliter or grams per cubic centimeter. So in this question, since we see milliliters, we will use the unit that has milliliters in it. And there's your answer. All right, let me know if you have any questions.